Hello, my dear children. Can we start a new chapter today? Reproduction in animals. Do you recall the processes of digestion, circulation, respiration which you have studied in your previous class? Those processes are essential for the survival of every individual. But the process of reproduction is not necessary for your survival. Which means even if you don't reproduce, you can survive. Then, what is the need to reproduce? Imagine that your parents couldn't have reproduced. You would not have been born. Similarly, if all humans stop reproducing, eventually human species will extinct from the earth. This will happen to other species also. So now you will understand how important this process is for the continuation of species. All living organisms will reproduce of their same kind. For example, human beings will give birth to human being. Dogs give birth to babies of the same kind. They give birth to young ones which are similar to them. When these puppies grow, they will also reproduce another set of puppies. This process will continue generation after generation. What do you mean by reproduction then? It is the process of producing new individual of the same kind. There are two types of reproduction: asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. First, can we discuss about sexual reproduction? Try to recall reproduction in plants which you studied in class 7. You will remember that plants that reproduce sexually have male and female reproductive parts. Which is the male reproductive part of a plant? Stamen. And the female reproductive part is carpel or pistil. And we have discussed last year that the reproductive parts of the plants will produce gametes. The male gamete and the female gamete. Male part of the flower will produce male gamete. Female part of the flower will produce female gamete. And these two gametes will fuse to form a zygote. That zygote is the new cell which form after fertilization, and zygote will develop into a new individual. In animals also, males and females have different reproductive parts or organs. Like plants, the reproductive parts in animals also produce gametes that fuse to form a zygote. It is the zygote which develops into a new individual. This type of reproduction, beginnings from the fusion of male and female gametes, is called sexual reproduction. Let us find out the reproductive parts in humans and study the process of reproduction in them. Male reproductive organ. The male reproductive organ in human beings contain three parts: one pair of testes and a sperm duct which is connecting the testes, and a penis. Here the testes are the main part in the male reproductive part, very important part, because testes will produce the male gametes here. Male gametes called sperm. Look at this sperm. This is the structure of a sperm. Millions of sperms are produced by the testes. And the sperms are very small in size. It is unicellular. That means it is made up of only one cell. It is a single celled. And its structure, look at the structure. It contains a head portion and middle piece and a tail. Head, middle piece and a tail. And when we draw a cell, animal cell, we will draw outer covering cell membrane, then a nucleus, then cytoplasm will be there between the nucleus and the cell membrane. And the cytoplasm will contain all the other cell organelles. Like that, here the human sperm also will contain the cell membrane, nucleus and the cytoplasm, which contain all other cell organelles. But the difference here is the shape. Okay, and the tail also there. The purpose of the tail is for the movement of the sperm. Female reproductive organs. The female reproductive organ consists of a pair of ovaries, oviduct, or another name is fallopian tube, and the uterus. Here the ovary produces the female gamete called ovum or egg. Inside the ovary there will be many ovum. Okay. But in mature female body, the matured egg will be released into the oviduct. That process is called ovulation. Production of ovum by ovary is called ovulation. So ovulation will happen. Ovary will release a mature egg to the oviduct or to the fallopian tube. A single mature egg is released into the oviduct by one of the ovary every month. There are two ovaries. So every month one of the ovary will produce the ovum. These are the gametes in the human body. The first one is the human sperm and second picture is the human ovum. Sperm is the male gamete and ovum is the female gamete. Sperm is produced by the male part, testis, and ovum is produced by the female part called ovary. And these two gametes will fuse together to form a new cell called zygote. The first step in the process of the reproduction is the fusion of a sperm and ovum. You know that testis will produce millions of sperms, but the female part ovary will produce only one egg. Normally it will produce, one of the ovary will produce one mature egg. When sperms come in contact with an egg, one of the sperms, there are millions of sperms, the first sperm which is coming and fusing with the egg will fertilize with the egg. The fusion of the egg and the sperm is called fertilization. During fertilization, the nuclei of the sperm and the egg fuse to form a single nucleus. This results in the formation of fertilized egg or zygote. You know that testis will produce millions of sperm. From that sperm, one of the sperm will fuse with the ovum. And when it is fusing, only the nucleus of the sperm will enter to the ovum. And both the nuclei will fuse together to form a single nucleus. So zygote is the result of fusion of two cells. But zygote is a unicellular cell because the nuclei, both the nuclei will fuse to form a single nucleus. Only the nucleus of the sperm is entering. The complete sperm will not enter to the ovum. The process of fertilization is the meeting of an egg cell from the mother and a sperm cell from the father. So, the new individual inherits some characters from the mother and some from the father. Look at your brother or sister. See if you can recognize some characters in them similar to those of your mother or your father. Fertilization occurs in the female body. In case of human being, the fallopian tube or oviduct is the place for fertilization. Fertilization, there are two types of fertilization. One is internal fertilization, second one is external fertilization. Fertilization which takes place inside the female body is called internal fertilization. Internal fertilization occurs in many animals including humans, cow, dogs and hens. Can you identify these cells? These are eggs of frog. During spring or rainy season, frogs move to pond and slow flowing streams. When the male and female come together in water, the female lays hundreds of eggs in water. As the eggs are laid, the male deposits sperms over them. Each sperm swims randomly in water with the help of its long tail. The sperms come in contact with the eggs. This results in fertilization. This type of fertilization, in which fusion of a male and female gamete takes place outside the body of the female, is called external fertilization. It is very common in aquatic animals such as fish, starfish, etc. Why do fish and frogs lay eggs in hundreds, whereas a hen lays only one egg at a time? The reason is, in hen it is internal fertilization. The egg is protected inside the female body. But in the case of frogs and fish, it is external fertilization. Eggs are laid outside the female body. So eggs are not protected outside the body. Eggs can be exposed to water movement, wind can be affected, rainfall can be destroy the eggs. Not only that, some of the aquatic animals can feed these eggs. So there will be hundreds of eggs. Then only the fertilization, some of the eggs can be fertilized and develop into new individual. So difference between internal and external fertilization. Fusion of male and female gametes inside the female body is internal fertilization. Fusion of male and female gametes outside the female body is external fertilization. High chances of survival of offspring. So less number of ova or eggs are produced. Here in internal fertilization, the egg is protected inside the female body. So more chances for the survival of the offspring. But in external fertilization, low chances of survival. So large number of eggs are produced. An example for internal fertilization: cow, hen, human beings, mostly all the mammals. And external fertilization, the aquatic animals like fish, frogs, starfish, etc. Have you heard of test tube babies? Normally, fertilization takes place in the oviduct or fallopian tube of the female reproductive organ. In some women, oviducts are blocked. These women are unable to bear babies because sperms cannot reach the egg for fertilization. In such cases, doctors collect freshly released egg from the mother and sperms from the father and keep them together for few hours for IVF. IVF means in vitro fertilization. Fertilization outside the body. Okay, so the fertilization will take place in the test tube. In case fertilization occur, the zygote is allowed to develop for about a week and then it is placed in the mother's uterus. Complete development takes place in the uterus and the baby is born like any other baby. Babies born through these techniques are called test tube babies.